Open a gold IRA with Birch Gold Group and get free silver coins shipped directly to your home. That's right, it's the most wonderful time of the year, when Birch Gold gives away a free silver American Eagle coin for every $5,000 purchased. And here's the best part. You don't have to pay a penny out of pocket. By December 20th, simply convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in precious metals, and Birch Gold will send your free silver coins directly to your home. So now you're thinking, maybe, why do you need to diversify into gold? Our guys headed to DC, things are good. Here's the facts. An administration trying to put a dent in a $36 trillion national debt in just 4 years is like a field mouse trying to stop a freight train. We can't even afford to pay the interest on the debt, let alone the principal. So better be safe than sorry. Take action now to protect your savings. Text the word America to 989898 for a free info kit on gold and to claim your eligibility for free silver on your purchase from Birch Gold. But you must do this by December 20th. Again, text America to the number 989898 for peace of mind that lasts longer than 4 years. Well, welcome back to Special Report. The ceasefire between Israel and Hezbollah is in question after Hezbollah launched missile attacks inside Israel starting Monday, with Israel then responding, targeting Hezbollah in southern Lebanon. But despite the fighting going on, Secretary of State Blinken said today that the ceasefire is holding. But is it really holding? So let's bring in Director of Middle East Political Network, Dr. Eric Mandel, here in the studio. Thank you, sir, for joining us. So what is your thoughts on the ceasefire? Is it holding?
Depends how you define holding. So basically, Hezbollah is probing. They're trying to see what they can get away with. And so Israel was supposedly given some side letter by the Biden administration that says it can enforce if Hezbollah is breaking the rules, whether moving missiles, moving Hezbollah fighters south of the Litani River, these type of things. So Israel has enforced it. So almost immediately, the French, who are one of the partners here, which should not be a trusted group for a ceasefire, has condemned Israel for keeping the rules of the ceasefire. And what has happened also is, unfortunately, Tony Blinken has also sort of jumped on. So Hezbollah went a little farther and sent mortars into a place called Har Dov. I've been there, it's up in the Golan. Mm-hmm. And so now this tenuous ceasefire is a little shaky. I don't think anybody should think of this as more than maybe a lull, maybe a temporary truce. Ceasefire, the president was, I think, a little incorrect when he said that he thought this is very strong, this will lead to peace, security, permanence. Yeah. That's out of reality.
And it really only is 60 days. So it's just temporary until President Trump takes office. And then what do you think will go from there when President Trump takes in January 20th? What will happen? Will that ceasefire, do you think it will last, go into a peace deal, or do you think there'll be a change in strategy?
Well, all of the things are interrelated. And I think a lot has to do with what the president will decide to do with Iran. Iran is allowing Hezbollah to take the ceasefire because Iran does not want to lose its most important proxy that's part of a ring of fire to destroy the Jewish state. Yeah. And so Iran is letting them take a ceasefire, and they have strategic patience, something we need to learn a little bit about when you're dealing with the Middle East.
Strategic patience.
And so the other part here is Iran is vulnerable. This is an opportunity for actually stability to hit the Iranian nuclear facilities.
Which you actually I was going to ask you about that, because you wrote a piece about the Iran nuclear program and said we have a window of opportunity right now to be able to do something about that. What is your opinion on that? What does your paper say?
So the Israelis have done us a big favor. They've cleared the way, knocked out the Russian anti-missile systems and some of the self-made ones, mm-hmm. and their facilities are vulnerable. There is nothing worse than a nuclear Iran that will lead to a nuclear arms race throughout the Middle East. Yes. That is the worst thing for American national security interests. I'd rather have an angry Iran that does not have nuclear weapons than an Iran that has nuclear weapons, and they may be racing to it right now because they feel weak.
Do you think they'll get nuclear weapons capabilities before Trump takes office?
It is a possibility. So if think of a stool, we'll call this the nuclear stool. It has 3 legs. They have 2 of the legs for sure. The ability to deliver ballistic missiles, although Israel, in one of its strikes, hit its ballistic missile facility, the solid fuel part. Number 2, besides ballistic missiles, they can enrich. They can enrich to 90%. There's no question about that. The part they don't have is weaponization. That's the last part, or we believe they don't have it, but it can be done in very small areas. That is neutron initiators for detonation, converting uranium gas to metals. These are the things, computer modeling, we know they're working on that. So they may have a mad dash to make this, to have a fait accompli that puts the president and the administration in a difficult position. So President Biden, I thought that, I didn't really think it, but some people thought that maybe he would take some action here.
Yeah.
But I don't think he will. I think he's trying to hang on to sort of this Pyrrhic victory of a ceasefire as a legacy, but it's not going to be strong. I think President Trump, I hope his rhetoric about Iran wanting to, and I do believe he will, increase the sanctions, because President Biden chose not to enforce the sanctions. When you hear new sanctions.
Allowing Iran to get $100 billion in oil revenues.
Right. Who are they selling this oil to primarily? China, our primary enemy. And they're getting it at a discount. So it totally is against our interests. And what happens with that money? That funded Hamas, that funded Hezbollah, it funded the Houthis.
I want to go to the Houthis next, because over the weekend you had the Houthis, who are Iranian-backed, but they're also being backed and supported by Russia now too. So this is, when you're looking at, this isn't just tactical, this is the grand strategy when you're looking at the new administration coming in and looking at all the different players in the region. So Russia is now backing the Houthis. And I've also heard myself about intelligence reports where the Houthis could potentially have chemical weapons. So how great of a threat is the Houthis? And they're constantly attacking our Navy, just like we saw this weekend. They just shoot down, the Navy shot down 7 drones and missiles that were being launched at them. But you hear nothing about it from this administration. Our Navy has been under attack since the greatest sustained combat since World War II. But there isn't anything, no one's talking about it. Yeah. So what can be done with the Houthis, and do you think that they are going to escalate within the next 2 months, 47 days that we have left?
Well, first of all, the idea that you're having this third-rate power at best, closing the Red Sea, basically closing the Suez Canal, and we, America, allowing it to happen, basically just reacting, sends a terrible message to our allies around the world. The best way for us to avoid wars and conflagrations all around the world is to show strength. The strength here is we should be hitting the Houthis. If the Houthis they are aligned with Iran, but they're actually a different form of Shiism that's there. But if they're shooting at our ships, we should have a disproportionate response and stop what goes on there. The Israelis did, and they
took out their port.
But we should, this is a very poor country. It is authoritarian. Would they use chemical weapons if they had them? I think if the Iranians push them to do that. We're much more concerned about chemical weapons.
In Syria.
Yeah,
before we go, we don't have too much time left, but I want to hit Syria now, because you have the Islamists, the jihadists that are backed by Turkey now taking over Aleppo, and they're actually making advances now. So this shows that Hezbollah has been weakened by Israel. It shows a weakened Iran. But what are the national security threats that are being posed to Israel and the United States?
So first of all, Russia. Russia has 2 important facilities, the Kanim Air Force Base, they don't want to lose it in Syria, and they have Tartus, their naval base. And the Russians have worked quietly with the Israelis only so they don't, when Israel has overflights hitting Iran. And so that is a possibility that as that chaos breaks down, Turkey, which has basically become the Muslim Brotherhood is Hamas.
Yes.
And they back the Islamists. And the Islamists, because they go farther south to Homs, that's where there are chemical weapons.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, we are out of time, sir. But thank you, Dr. Mandel, so much for joining us here.
My pleasure.
Well, coming up, new polling shows more than half of people now view President-elect Trump favorably. We're live with Rasmussen Reports to break down the American sentiment. Right back after the break.